This is Steven from BGcast.
And this is Diana from Transcending Ascension.
And this is Esoteric Caravan. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed our last episode about starseeds and substances. That episode was close to home for both Diana and I. And this time we're going to take it in a little bit of a different direction. So one of the most famous quotes from Jesus, in our spiritual evolution, we of course always look at Christianity. A lot of us have dived into esoteric Christianity and some of the Gnostic texts as well. So one of the most famous quotes from Jesus, when we're on our spiritual evolution, is this particular quote. And we kind of want to just digest and talk about what this means on a spiritual level and what this means for creating our reality. So the quote is, "It's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you. It's what comes out of your mouth that defiles you." And I'm going to throw a little joke there. I don't think McDonald's and fast food existed in the time of Jesus, so I know he's not talking about something like that. But Diana, what are your thoughts on this quote?
Well, for one thing, we can look at it in regards to food, but for the most part, I think Jesus means it about words. It would go to both, though, if you really want to look at it, because absolutely what you put inside your body matters. Because everything you take inside your body, you become. It's what your cells are eating, so it's what's going to make you. But most importantly, more than your food, believe it or not, you can weigh 600 pounds, but if everything you say is pleasant and lovely, you're better off than the skinny person that says nothing but rude things, like hurtful things. Because what comes out of your mouth is exceptionally important.
I would completely agree with you, Diana. Yes. Of course, what we intake as far as the food and the information. So we have to look at the symbolism of what we put into our mouth. I think that's the first thing that we need to start breaking down. So mouth is not just looked at as a literal mouth. It's not just the food we intake. It's the content we intake. It's the things that we read, what we watch. Okay, so you have to think of mouth as a spiritual symbolism when it comes down to this. And so, but ultimately, what exits your mouth is what ultimately defiles you. We talk about our words. We talk about how powerful our words are when we are creating our reality. And because our words are so powerful, this is what I ultimately think what Jesus meant in this statement was how we speak and what we speak into existence. What do you think, Diana?
Absolutely, because the law of vibration is one of the most important laws there is in the Hermetic laws, because as you should know, 1 to 7 matter. The order matters. So the first being the all is mind is the first. And then one of your next ones is all is vibration, because that mind goes to make vibrations. Vibration is the next expression of God. And vibrations are your words. You were given words to speak, to be wizards, to create vibration. This is why the more we ascend and expand, the bigger and broader our language gets. The way that we create sounds from our mouth is exceptionally important and vital for the world we're trying to create. So you can't so things like jokes need to be reevaluated. As someone who used to consider themselves funny and say a lot of jokes, you need to reassess everything you're saying. If you're someone that complains a lot, you need to reassess that, because every word you're saying is the most important thing at what you want to look at to fix your life.
I completely agree with that. And one of the things I kind of want to bring into the sphere as we're talking about this is, and I know I've talked about this on my show a few times, and I know Diana has been with me when I've spoken about this a few times, is cymatics. So what are cymatics? And this is going to tie into what we were talking about here when it comes to how we imprint upon our reality with our words. So cymatics is visual sound. Yes, so when you take a sound wave or a frequency and you play it through a medium of some kind, whether it be sand on a vibratory plate called a Cialdini plate, or you're playing it through a non-Newtonian liquid such as cornstarch and water, as people, we call it oobleck, right?
Liquid mercury does stuff.
Liquid mercury as well, absolutely. You start to get these visual patterns, this geometry, and you look at a lot of this geometry, and a lot of it represents sacred geometry. A lot of it represents like the mathematical sequences such as the golden ratio and the Fibonacci spiral, and these are vibratory sound waves coming to life in almost a visual way. So this is actually what you're doing when you speak into your reality, when you speak about yourself, when you speak about others, when you speak about the world that we exist in currently at this time. We are putting forth this geometry into existence, but we're also creating this geometry with our vibrational state. So when we are in a higher vibrational state and we are saying good things, we are trying to imprint good things upon our world, we are vibrating with this beautiful geometry, and we're putting forth this beautiful geometry into our consciousness field. And but when we are in a lower vibrational state, and we are saying bad things, or we are saying lower vibrational things into our existence and into our world, we're creating this not so great geometry into our consciousness field. And the universe, aka the divine, is going to reciprocate with whatever you are putting out. So this is what I ultimately think it meant when Jesus said it's what comes out of your mouth that defiles you. Is if you are speaking bad about yourself, others, and this existence, you are going to create said existence. Diana, what are your thoughts?
100%. And that goes into what we were talking about last time. Just substances, because one of the main reasons you want to get off substances is because of the stuff it'll make you say. So if you're a drinker and you're hungover all the time, well, everything you're going to be saying is Jesus fucking Christ, oh my God, and talking about how much pain you're in, how much everything sucks all the time, until you get drunk again, and then maybe you're happy, but maybe you probably say a lot of bad things then too. You just feel better about it, right? Weed, obviously, you're probably not going to say bad things. That's going to be a good one, but that's why we talked about it last time. That's a lot of time why I'll use cannabis, because I have rage issues. I'm exceptionally fire, and cannabis helps calm me down and make sure don't say bad things, right? And a lot of us can use the effects from cannabis to help smooth out the nastier side of humanity, to help yourself come out more congruent and of the soul, because it will help pair you naturally with your soul. Now, you don't want to use it as a crutch. You just want to use it like a little bit if you need it, but like not like bong days if you had those days. Like, don't be cracking the bong all day every day. But you do need and want things to help calm you down. Teas help calm you down. Chamomile tea helps calm you down. We talked about Blue Lotus last time. That will help calm you down. Because sometimes it is really, really hard to say nice things. But that old adage, which I still heard when I was younger, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, funny enough, that was to save your life. Because saying horrible things will ruin your life. That's like, there's so many, okay, we all knew nasty people at work. Maybe you were the nasty person at work. And this person would always be like, why is my life so horrible? It's not fair. Yet you saw firsthand that all they ever talked about was nasty things. If they wanted to have a conversation with you, it was to complain about work or about other people at work. Maybe your mother was like this. Maybe your father was like this. Maybe they're both like this, because over time, people copy each other's behaviors. And you'll find with most social dynamics, if you join in and they'll get shit talking about someone, if you don't want to join in the shit talking, they'll think you're better than them and all such things. You need to start making it very clear. No, I just need to keep my space clean. The law of vibration is the third law. What comes before that is the law as above, so below, correspondence. So everything is all the same. When God printed out us with the all is mind power, everything was printed out at once. Yet it's all the same, more or less, like different stories printing out through the same energy waves at their different scalar levels, because they're the scalar waves that come through and make us all, if you care about this, Dan Winters, Ashiana Dean, cross over on this in different language, but they actually teach very similar things using different language. But they discuss what Stephen was talking about. and how it's so important to keep yourself at certain vibratory levels, because that's literally the scientific foundation of how reality is printed. It's printed all at once. Anthropic principle, law of correspondence. These are the similar sort of ideals you'll learn that are all different words to describe the same thing for you. And the overlaying importance for you to remember. So I'm just going to sound like I'm repeating myself, and I'll let Stephen describe the science, but it's vital that you speak nice. It doesn't even have to be authentic. That's the thing. This is where you want to trump. I'm not saying to be inauthentic, but you really need to quell the negative talk. It doesn't mean you need to lie and say something not true, but keep this in mind and make it important again. If you have nothing nice to say nothing at all.
Absolutely. And so one of the reasons why we're bringing this up today too is because a lot of us in our collective society, actually I would say all of collective society in its whole, we are constantly casting spells upon ourselves unknowingly. You know, this is something that I've talked about on my show before. This is something Diana has talked about on her show. We're all doing it unknowingly. And it's ultimately how we dictate our reality with what we speak. I mean, a prime example of this is, let's say you have a healthcare professional, right? He comes on, of course, the way our society works right now, in the general collective sense. You see these healthcare professionals and these scientists, and they are treated as gods, and their word is God when they come out and make an announcement. And they come out and say, the human can only live to be 90 years old, and after this age, you are going to decline.
Or how about the telomeres that they say can't be altered that can?
Oh, the telomeres, your telomeres in your DNA that they say cannot be altered, but absolutely they can. But again, you have somebody that comes out and dictates this to the collective, and then you say it to yourself. You say, I'm going to decline at this age, and by the time I'm 90, I'm going to no longer be here anymore, and I'm going to be death and disease. So you have just at that point cast a spell on yourself, all right? Because remember, we're not dealing with an objective reality here. We're dealing with a collective of subjective realities. And because of that, each of us plays a part in co-creating this experience that we're currently undergoing. And we are all in charge of our own subjective experience that we are undergoing, this divine focal point that each and every one of us are, even the one, especially you who's listening to this at this point in time. Okay, we are in charge of our own experience, while all of our experiences collectively together contribute to the larger experience at hand that we are undergoing. So ultimately, when you take on one of the biggest things I've used before is I've used the Truman Show analogy to kind of describe what's going on here. And obviously, we're being advertised products everywhere. That's something that is going on as well. But also, what we are advertised in this reality are narratives and trains of thought. And whichever narrative or train of thought that we buy into is what will become our subjective reality. And if enough of the collective buys into a train of thought or a narrative, that ultimately will manifest forth into the collective reality. So this is the power that we have, guys, with our words, our thoughts, okay, the things that we say, all right, is when we say these things to ourselves that are limiting, that put defined boundaries on things in our existence, we create those things for ourselves, and in that sense it will defile us. We will defile ourselves by putting these limits and boundaries on ourselves through our words and what we think and what train of thought or narrative that we buy into. Diana, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. And look at what defile really means, right? To lessen yourself, to sully yourself. You are going to sully yourself when you do these things. You are always printing reality. Now, when you look at the anthropic principle, there's no such thing really even as motion. God doesn't actually really move. God is a stationary divine particle that recreates an image, and then so just like animation, which I love that I got into that just to learn, like it honestly helps you understand the universe better, because each image is reprinted and reprinted in a matter of so many stills in a second that we don't get to experience that. But in every breath of this moment, that again is faster than we comprehend, we return back to source. Like everyone always says, when the universe breathes back in, will end. Maybe the whole universe, but God itself, the all, is constantly micro-breathing. We are in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out from God, from actual the all. We are God, but God's many. But we are that center point of God as right now. So in your now moment, the power of now is exactly this moment when all that is real is only right now. No past, no future, that's real. No time and space, that's real. This is the science we have to go into cognitive dissonance to understand. But when you understand these things at their fundamental level, you will be able to, common sense, see why you don't say negative things. When you're constantly reprinting your reality, this is how miracle healings happen, and this is how miracle rapid cancers happen, because you are fundamentally changing your reality to such a degree, and God is always reprinting you out. You are continuously recreated every single microscopic second, but God is using your existing code to print you back out, to print you back out, to print you back out. Every time you move, you know what I mean? You're not actually moving, you're being reprinted out in a new position. So every heartbeat, every cell regeneration, it's not actually physically moving in the way we actually think. That's just the way we perceive it. Learning that your perception is not actually a direct representation of exactly how reality would actually look. How things actually look is beyond our comprehension. What we see is a play, a simulation. Just like a computer comes together to show you a digital production like the Pixar movies, so too are we a Pixar movie to God. We are created in every moment. But when you understand that instant creation in the microscopic second, you understand why every thought matters. You understand why every word matters. And this is why the food you put in your body is not necessarily bad. You technically could eat all the McDonald's in the world you want, and if you felt great, right? Except you're not going to be able to eat McDonald's and feel great. That's not how it works. You're going to eat McDonald's and your mood's going to drop, and you're going to start to say nasty things because of it. So did the McDonald's cause it? Is it the McDonald's fault? No. It's your fault for eating the McDonald's and having your mood drop. Or things like cocaine will make you say really bad things. We all know alcohol does. And there's tons of other things in this world. Just not enough sleep. Not enough sleep will make you a totally different person. You'll be nastier and meaner than you ever thought you could be if you just got enough sleep. Being in pain. Except you don't have to be in pain. This is another narrative they give us that's not true. It was proven and people knew about it. Everybody's like, I don't want to say everybody, but lots of people saw that they were brainwashing people in the 70s in records and on the TV. They literally caught the flash images, got in trouble, and were told to stop. Yet nobody did anything. Nobody looked deeper and was like, yo, why were you brainwashing us? Because they want us to think bad thoughts. They want us to say bad things because they want us to make a shit reality. Because you can easier subjugate your people if they are burnt out and wore out, warring with each other versus looking directly where we need to look.
Absolutely, and I completely agree with you on that. And that is absolutely the case, Diana. You said that very well. Because yes, the powers that were, or this parasite class, you know, I'll give credit where credit's due. They do understand the human psyche and the collective consciousness at a very deep level, and they do understand that if they get enough people to think negatively, and they get enough people to speak negatively and imprint that vibration into our collective existence, these negative events and these negative timelines can manifest from that. So ultimately, yes, even what Diana was saying, you know, I'm even going to say, even come forth into the placebo and the nocebo effects. I have two examples. We know somebody out here. I'm not going to name his name, but he's a mutual friend of ours, all right? And he placeboed himself in a huge way into overcoming what was it, a double lung transplant?
Oh,
yeah. It was a double.
I think you could say his name.
All right, his name.
It's Don's friend Lee.
Don's friend Lee.
The people that have said their story, like Emily from last time, the people who have said their stories already on our shows, I feel like they'd be fine for us to mention them again.
All right, so Lee, we'll talk about our friend Lee. Lee actually placeboed himself.
Well, Don's friend for sure.
Don's friend for sure.
But we love Don, so his friends are our friends.
Very much so. But he placeboed himself into healing himself at a very exponential rate from a double lung transplant. The doctors tried to nocebo him.
He woke up from the coma the day of, and he was supposed to be in it like a month.
Yeah. So,
and it was a medically induced coma, so like it wasn't. He should have stayed in that.
Oh, it was extraordinary, And this is really what our words and our thoughts can really make or break us. In this case, and you got to think, your thoughts are coming out of a mouth too, the mouth of your mind. Mm-hmm. So this is another way that we look at it. What Jesus says is what comes out of your mouth that defiles you. You can even look at your mind as a mouth. It is speaking. It is speaking internally to you. And Lee overcame and healed at an exponential rate from this double lung transplant. He was. The doctors tried to nocebo him. So let me give a little bit of a breakdown. The placebo effect and the nocebo effect. So you got to think of this as both sides of the polarity spectrum. The placebo being a positive thing and the nocebo being a negative one.
And I'm sure we all know people that have straight up died thanks to the nocebo effect. The doctors told my mom the chemo wasn't working, even though she was still perfectly fine, quote unquote. But by the end of the week, she was dead because they told her that. By the end of the week. That's nuts. And she was still walking around, not even in the hospital.
And this is why, and this is one thing I'll say before I continue with this story. Of course, if you need emergency health care to survive, of course,
But just don't listen to them. Don't let them nocebo you.
Don't let them nocebo you.
You are God.
This is where it comes into play. So the placebo is kind of what Lee did to himself. Lee went in with a positive mindset on his recovery and his healing. And he did not listen to what the doctors were saying. He told himself, and he fully believed internally that he was going to make it out of this and he was going to recover 100% and go back to living a quality of life that each and every one of us deserve. And lo and behold, he did. It was the day after the surgery. He was up walking around. The day after, he was up. He's like, I want to go back to my house and go to my garden. That is basically what he was saying, And, even Diana just giving an example of the nocebo effect. The nocebo effect is the negative version, is where somebody believes and says to themselves, whether internally in the mind or verbally.
Or they believe it when someone else says it.
Or believe it when someone else says it, that they are not going to make it. They are not going to survive. Cancel, nullify, indeed. And then what this does is you cast that spell upon yourself that you are not going to make it, that you are not going to survive. You are signifying the white flag you were throwing up at that moment in time and giving up. So this is what happens, guys. I'll redirect back to the beginning. All right, your mouth. All right, what comes out of your mouth is also your mindset on the reality at hand. And I can't even tell you, I'm not going to name names in this case because this is a family member of mine just recently passed away. And I fully believe that she got noceboed from the healthcare system.
She had a similar situation where they came in and told her it was done, and it was done. She was like, okay.
And that's the thing. Once you accept that is casting a spell upon yourself.
When the holy worship doctors, think about it. We've seen it in our parents. If your parent is a boomer or even an old Gen X, they worship the doctors.
Oh, they do. And we have, in this society, there's a lot of, we're taught to put blind trust in our healthcare system. We are taught to have blind trust for authority. We are taught to have all of this blind trust.
We're brainwashed to have blind trust. When they make us listen to the teachers, they're teaching us to listen to the politicians.
Absolutely. And what happens through this blind trust is we the people have, and this kind of even is diving into a bigger rabbit hole, Diana, because I've talked about this too. So we the people, I want all of you listening to think about this real quick, because we the people collectively have always listened to the few when it comes to the answers for the biggest questions in our lives, for the answers of the nature of existence, the nature of our world, the nature of ourselves. We the people have always looked towards the few, this parasite class, the powers that were.
Not all of us.
Not all, in the general sense, you know what I mean, in the general sense. But is it possible that we have cast the spell of a false reality?
100%.
Have we manifested a false reality upon ourselves?
We're our own prison guards, yes.
Exactly, because we did not have the discernment or the sovereignty as a collective at that time to look deeper ourselves. We just lazily handed over
the 70s project, where they had the students split to prison guard and prisoners. That taught us so much. It taught us that each and every one of us,
prison experiment.
Yeah, each and every one of us is capable of being both a prisoner and a tyrant.
Absolutely. So this is something we have to think about, guys. You know, when we're approaching our reality and the things that we manifest for ourselves on
and
our
to keep in mind,
subjective
reality
stage.
isn't real to begin with. That's fundamental to always remember. But who's creating it? It better be you.
Well, it's funny because you remember we were watching that video, you and I together, that one time, and yes, this is reality is not real, but you have to treat it as it's real, because you can't not treat
As
it.
we tell the children, there's no respawning in this game.
There's no respawning in this game. Exactly.
Not as the same character. You got to restart with a new character.
We use the video. Of course, the video game analogies work a lot because, you know, we've all played video games. We've all undergone the rendering of our reality and the different side quests that we can go on, spiritual side quests and things like that. So, like, yeah, definitely the video game analogies work, but nonetheless, that's what we're talking about here, guys. I mean, we have to not take the spells that are being casted on us by the powers that were, the parasite class, and the ones in our collective who do not see yet, because this in ourselves is defiling ourselves. We are not exercising discernment. We are not exercising sovereignty in these cases. We are just taking what we're hearing and casting it upon ourselves as a limiter and a boundary for our very own existence and experience. And ultimately, this is what will defile us in the long run. We're not being true to ourselves, not being authentic to ourselves. And ultimately, when we talk about Christ, that is what Christ would have wanted for us, is to be discerning, sovereign, and to
Flip the tables.
Flip the tables, exactly. And so this is what I think it means, guys. There's many different ways we can defile ourselves. There's many different ways, you know,
to betray yourself.
Absolutely. And you look at what mouth means, what comes out of our mouth, our minds, what comes out of our minds. And the next two, so you guys have heard me talk about, you know, we have, you could even look at your hands as a mouth in this aspect too. You guys have heard me talk about the manifestation method, my tried and true: one head, heart, and hands. You know, your head thinks about what you want, your heart feels it and aligns with your mind, and then your hands get to do the work. But we can manifest bad things into our world through our hands, through the actions we do. And we have to think of our hands as a mouth in that way too, whether we're talking about literally speaking or figuratively speaking. We have to look at our hands as a mouth in this aspect as well, because our hands, our actions, are what can cast spells into our reality that manifests a not so great world for us. Diana, what do you think?
Absolutely. And with this, you do actually want to consider everything a spell. Like, do not listen to the mainstream news. Like, do not. If you have to, like, there's this one waiting room I had to go into, and it has the news on it, and it had to play. It was torture. I told Steven about it. It was awful. It has to play the news. But you do not want to listen to it. Throw headphones on. Do not ever listen to it in your own house. Walk away if you can, because it's nothing but a spell. So here's a spell for you to say back. For anybody that says or thinks things towards you, the news, the TV, the media, remember the old, I'm rubber and you're glue. Whatever you think or say at me bounces back and returns to you.
I love it.
That's it. In love and truth. In love and truth, you're not doing anything hurtful. You're just setting the clear record straight. You're keeping your aura clean. You need to keep your aura clean. You need to have salt baths, salt showers, just salt hand rinsings if you can. Sprinkle salt on your head if you can. Like anything. Salt. Crystals, selenite. Clear yourself. Keep yourself clean, keep your mind clean, and that goes into keeping your body clean, because that'll help keep your mind cleaner, because the cleaner you are, the cleaner the reality is that you are manifesting. It is vital. This is your part in the world. This is where you come in. If you're literally sitting around going, what do I do to help the world? And you want to tell yourself, oh, I have no talent, I have no this. That's what everybody always tries to say. I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too big, I'm too skinny, I'm too tall, I'm too short. No, you're not. Whatever you are is exactly what you need to be. You're God right now, not in 5 minutes, not yesterday, not tomorrow. You're God right now, and only right now. So what can you do right now? That's clear your mind and say better words. And once you start doing that, the rest starts to fall into place. And only speak your truth. If you only have nice things to say nice things. It doesn't mean you need to say mean things, but you only speak your truth. And then out of that, you will start to learn who you truly are. I know a lot of us in this because we've been forced down false worlds, false narratives, and false realities. And then people like me knew it was all bullshit. And Steven knew it was all bullshit. Painted as bad kids when we were kids, even though I was actually very good. But like painted as bad kids because it's all bullshit and we freaking knew it. But at the same time, back when we were younger, we didn't know what the actual right answer was. We knew that they were wrong. And then there's even more that we learned they were wrong about. Even crazy psychotic things like Monsanto, when that all started coming out. Like, I knew it was bad, but I'm like, holy shit, it's actually fucking evil, you know, versus a bunch of idiots just running it. Because humans, think about it, they're just humans. Why are you worshiping any human, right? It's one thing, you shouldn't even be worshiping anything, let alone a human being. They are the same as you. Anything you want to say to insult yourself, turn it around to the people you think are controlling you and say it to them. Not that you should say things, but just think about what that means. Think about it. You are surrounded by idiots. That's true. And I know I'm saying a bad thing right now, but like sometimes you do just have to say it like it is. And what I do is cancel and nullify. I learned that in my bachelor's program, metaphysics, Paul Masters. Cancel and nullify anything bad you say or think, because it will it's a spell. It will quite literally try to cancel and nullify that energy you sent out. It will try. It's not a guarantee. And the quicker you say it, the better chance it has to nullify it. The longer it's been, the longer chance it has to move out. Every word you say and every sound you think, so your thoughts are sounds too, they will echo through reality all the way to the edge of the universe until they probably reverberate back and come back in, because sound never stops. It moves forever, infinity. So just think about how important that makes your words.
Absolutely, and that was amazing, Diana. You summed that up very well. Also, one thing I want all of you to think about too is you have to think of your entire being and experience here as an interlocking, interworking vibratory system. From your thoughts to the vibration you emit from your energy body and your physical body to the words that you speak. All of these are different facets of the true God system that you emanate and that emits from you. So everything comes into play here. You know, you could be thinking bad thoughts but speaking good things. That's going to counteract, right? That's going to contradict what you're trying to achieve here. So ultimately, you have to look at everything, every aspect of yourself, every aspect of your existence as an interlocking vibratory system that works with one another. Each system works with each other. It's ultimately part of one system, but if we're talking fractals and facets, we know that there's many different parts there and many different layers, but it all works in unison and it all works together. So if there's one part of you that is not working in the way that it should with the rest of you, you're also going to experience resistance there. You're going to experience some issues in what you're trying to achieve. So ultimately, you know, I'm going to even kind of go on a limb and correct this. Like in some ways, sorry, Jesus, and you know I love you, but I mean it like this. In some ways, what you put into your mouth can defile you too. What you put into your mind. Okay, the content you watch, we are stuck here, you know, in these algorithms where the viral and the negatively triggering things are always reaching the top of your page, the top of your algorithms, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on X, whether it be on Facebook, whatever social media or whatever media outlet that you decide to use. We have these triggering things, these polarizing things, these viral things that are always reaching for our attention and reaching for our focus. And ultimately, when you put those things into your mouth, those things begin to defile you, because ultimately, when you start to watch these things and intake this content, you start vibrating at a lower frequency because it starts to transform your mind and the thoughts that are going to come out of your mouth, the mind, when you're intaking this negative kind of content. So ultimately, guys, I'm going to have to correct Mr. Christ here and say that what you ultimately put into your mouth will defile you too, because if your mind is considered a mouth also, okay, what you intake into your mind, we have to look at that as well. Diana, do you think I'm okay correcting Mr. Christ on this?
Yes, because I think he was making a point, because the Jews obviously have a big deal about the way they eat, and we have to remember who he was speaking to back then. He was speaking to the Jews in their obsession with the Gentiles and how they didn't do exactly what the Jews wanted, because Jesus was really into waking everybody up. And the Gentiles is the term they use for basically everybody that's not a Jew. And they're all the Gentiles in the New Testament. So absolutely. And then, so the mouth and the mind, like, also, I can see why Jesus would say that, because just because it went into your mind does not mean you need to actually activate and act on it. However, he's saying that because Jesus, a lot of the time, I love that from him, assumes, and he does in one sense not assume we're smart, but in the other sense, he does assume we're smart. Like, he says things in a way that a higher soul will understand in a higher way. So taking things into our mind, we don't have to act on it. It's not that itself that defiles us. So when Jesus says that, it's because he knows we know better, and he knows we're stronger than that. So it's not an automatic process. But what Stephen says actually technically is true. That's the real run of it for the most part, because that's just the way they are. But can we overcome it? Yes, and that's what Jesus meant. But is Stephen right? And yes, our brain is getting downloaded, because remember, 95% subconscious. So do you want to download and have to overcome some bad programming? No. You're better off, and you're making your life a lot easier if, like what Stephen says, is you actually watch the intake of your content. Those things are dangerous, especially if you first go on them and don't get a chance to say, yo, offensive, don't show me pictures of dead horrors. My goodness, the stuff I've seen online that scars me for absolute life. So to just like think about what you need as solutions, because cancel and nullify all the negative things. So what's this mean? What do you need for solutions? You need mantras. You need prayer treatments. Make your own. My teacher, Paul Masters, was obsessed with making sure every single end of a class we did ended with a prayer treatment. To solidify in. Matthias DeStefano, those year-long lessons he did, the Yosoi, ended with a prayer treatment. Ashiana Dean ended in a prayer treatment. They begin in a prayer treatment, filled with them. I have a lot of Ashiana Dean ones. Actually, no, I have but they're major for me. They're major. Like, I love Ashiana D. Aja Inta Dua, Aja Inta Dua, Aja Inta Dua. Like, she is just absolutely on the money. Not that her stuff was literally true, but what she did was still expand the consciousness if you learn her information, because she saw deeper. And one thing that they all found in the fundamental truth was prayer treatments, spells. Do them yourself. Clean yourself. Right in, I am reprogramming my brain for excellence. I am expanding. I see good. I am high vibrational. I succeed. Subconscious programming programs. They're all over YouTube. Audible has them if you want to make sure it's like been published and vetted, because sometimes I'm scared YouTube is slipping in creepy stuff. Who knows, right? They make these 10-hour videos. It's not vetted.
Yes.
So Audible, if you want to be safe, has them, and some for free if you have a subscription. It's just part of it. And there's lots of places you can get these. You can make your own. In my school, again, I had to make my own. And so you could do that kind of stuff. There's so many ways you can make sure that you are taking into that mouth of your mind positive information that will bring you higher vibrations.
Absolutely. And one of the things I kind of just want to add on to what Diana is saying here is ultimately, guys, this is something that takes work, okay? I'm not saying, yes, of course, I've talked about how we as humans...
It's one of the most works.
It is. It takes work, and we're not saying it's super cut and dry. I mean, in some sense it is, but like I said, we talked about...
It's easy but not easy.
Easy but not easy, exactly. We talked about in previous episodes before how humans have been conditioned to rally around negativity, that we are conditioned to gravitate towards.
We feel bonded over it, and humans love to feel bonded, and it actually bonds us really quickly. Enemy of my enemy is my friend. And that really, really, really bonds humanity, and we love being bonded. Loneliness is death to us because we used to die from loneliness because we'd get eaten by a bear.
Exactly. So the one thing I will say that can help you along this to reformatting what comes out of your mouth is to live each day in the best way possible in the present moment. In the present moment, we are fully in control, and we are in our God selves. We are the craftsmen of our reality.
When you're in your now moment, though, don't get lost in thoughts. If you're in lost thoughts of past or future, no, you're not in the now.
Exactly. So how do we stay focused in the present moment in our day-to-day life? One of the simplest tips I can give each and every one of you is to focus on the breath, the bridge between the body and the soul. For it is in the breath that God sits, in the stillness. So anytime you feel yourself losing your mind, you feel your mind begin to spiral, whether it starts spiraling into just random things, or it starts to spiral back into the negative, always try to recenter yourself back to your breath, because what you're going to notice in this is every time you start to recenter and come back to your breath, your mind's going to calm and it's going to quiet. You're going to regain control of what you once thought you had no control. Over. Didn't mean to burp in the middle of that. But and through this, you will regain that control, and you can start to reformulate and reformat your thoughts. This also comes through self-awareness, guys. If you know you have a tendency to gravitate towards the negative, before you do that, stop, take a breath. Again, the breath. Understand, or even say to yourself internally, is this thought or this narrative helping me in my greatest alignment at this point in time? No, it's not. So we cast it aside. All right. One of the biggest things we could do to help ourselves in what comes out of our mouths, whether it be literal or figurative mouths, is to understand and to observe our thoughts as if they are leaves passing by us on a gentle stream. Okay. We do not attach to them. We do not, when you're sitting out in nature, let's say you're sitting by a stream and you're meditating, right? And you're watching the leaves go down the stream. You just watch the leaf pass by, right? You watch it pass by. Do you reach out and grab the leaf and hold on to it? No. Do you reach out and try to disrupt the path of the leaf? No. You're sitting in that stillness. You're sitting in that peace, and you're letting that leaf pass by. This is what you need to do, learn to do with these negative thoughts. And through the breath, you can bring yourself to that present moment to where you can do this with these negative thoughts, and you don't have to feel attached, or you don't have to feel you have to let them encompass you. So this is the first step, guys, bringing the state of meditation from just meditation into your everyday conscious life. That is the goal when it comes to our spiritual evolution. We don't just want to be meditating when we're sitting down and doing our meditation, whether you guys, depending on what kind of meditation you do. I know we all do different things, okay? But we want to bring that state of meditation into our conscious waking life. We always want to be operating in that state of meditation. So ultimately, this is what's going to help you do this, and this will help what comes out of your mouth be nothing but the things that are going to bring you towards your highest alignment in your life, towards your higher self. All right, and this is what we ultimately want for you and what we want for ourselves. So this is what I ultimately think as we start to pull up to our destination that Jesus was trying to relay to us, is we have to keep our vibratory system clean. We have to keep it nourished. We have to keep it in a positive frequency, because our mouth is our whole vibratory system. It's not just the physical mouth that I'm speaking to you out of right now. It's our whole being. And that's what I think Jesus was trying to say. Diana, do you have any closing thoughts that you would like to add?
Yes, since it's running to an end, I'll just say parts therapy. So one way that you can really help yourself here, so take what Stephen said about the meditative self. So the God spark, you're going to find that, you're going to calm down. One thing a lot of us need to realize is that we're some sort of autistic. We're on the spectrum. Now, one thing is sometimes it seems like we were really, really nasty, but we're not. That's just our autism being overstimulated. So you need to take that and understand it. You need to seclude yourself, be in a dark room. Make sure there's no bad sounds. One thing that helps with negative thoughts is putting on good music. And I mean actual, hopefully spiritual music that'll play that over your thoughts to try to turn you back to being good. But I want to get us to talk about parts therapy in one upcoming episode, because that'll really help you here. Because what you're going to ultimately need to do, because you have many parts, at least 12, and 4 of them are identical to the same as everybody else: the saboteur, the prostitute, and the child, and then the other one I never remember. But they are going to be ones we all have to contend with. And these are things you're going to have to get to know. So what you want to do, and I'll just leave you with some homework, is when you're meditating or just in some sort of moment when you're thinking, find your highest self. Maybe it's your mother, maybe it's your father. You is the mother, or you is the father. Your higher self. Not even the highest as in your God self, because it kind of is blank. It's kind of too zen to deal with life's problem. So we're sort of trying to find like a mature adult self. You do have one. You have one when there's a problem and you come in and you help. You have a higher self. Everybody does. It's not the God self, but it's just a you that's mature. So that's what you have to find in your parts. And then you want to be able to learn to turn that mature part on as much as possible, because our parts are activated just like everything in our brain. It becomes habitual and it's automatically what starts. So let's say you're a petty person. The petty self is the automatic one that usually comes out. It seems like you're overridingly petty. But all of a sudden a puppy comes up to you, and the puppy's being real bad, but you love this puppy. It's so cute. And all of a sudden now you're really mature and you're petting that puppy. You're understanding that puppy. You're loving that puppy. You're seeing that puppy from its full perspective, versus how you are in your petty self. If you were to look at just a standard dog, you'd be like, blah, 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 blah. Versus being in that other part that was able to expand because it saw a puppy. Find that expanded part and learn to use it more often. That same self that loved that puppy is capable of loving the turd at work or whatever like that. But honestly, your work environments really need to be reassessed, because that's something you really need to shake off too, is all the bad workplaces. If you're in a really bad place and you say, oh, how do I fix my life? You need to fix your life to fix your life. God will figure it out for you, but it's up to you to make the first steps. Start planning, start thinking about who you truly are. Because once you're living in a life that's aligned for you and your truest self, you're not going to want to be as bitter and angry and complain. But your habits might make that so. So rebuild your habits. Create a natural, nice self that sees the positive things in life more easily, and then just keep it up. It's a habit. You're going to have to build that self, but you will and you can.
Absolutely, and you summed it up very well. You did great. And honestly, I think we should maybe even dive into parts on our next episode. And I kind of want to talk about the work environment thing too, and cleaning house in your environment, because ultimately a lot of us put up with things because we think we have to put up with them. And let me be the first to tell you that you don't. You don't have to put up with it. Okay. This is the one thing I want all of you to understand and realize at this point in time. God is conspiring with you to help you always. You are the only thing, your ego, the negative aspects of your ego, is the only thing that is conspiring against you and wishing you to fail. The saboteur, as what Diana was saying right there. Ultimately, guys, God wants you to have your happiest, most joyful, abundant life. God wants you to succeed.
You have to see that. You have to see that. God is showing it to you all the time, but you're only choosing to see the negative. And I know that sounds rude, but I used to be that person myself.
And I did too.
Exactly. It's up to you. The victim's the other one. We're all the victim. Get out of that victim mentality. Stop self-sabotaging. And have a lovely day.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of Esoteric Caravan. We hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you heard today, go ahead and like and subscribe to us on YouTube. I also have our videos up on Rumble. Whether you do it on my channel or Transcending Ascensions, as long as you do it, that is awesome. And other than that, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful Monday, and we will talk to you guys later.
Talk to you later. Goodbye.